While you're here, let me tell you who I am. My name is Jason Bahamundi. I am one of the owners of Run Try Bike magazine, and we are a multimedia platform that caters to beginners of all capabilities. For those of you who are just getting started in endurance sports, we cover swim, bike, run. Obviously means we cover triathlon.
There you go. There he is. Hey.
We are also talking about mountain biking, gravel cycling, trail running, ultra running, anything you can think of, we cover with our platform. We give everyday athletes like yourselves an opportunity to tell your stories, how you got started, because you never know who you might inspire or motivate down the road to get started themselves. On my screen, so it's to my left on the screen, is who is our social media manager and will be moderating the questions throughout the day today for us. And on, again, my right of the screen, we have Justin True, who we are super excited to have on this conversation, our Fireside Chat, which is our second. So we're excited for this series. And just to give you some brief background before I turn it over to Justin to introduce himself is, again, Justin is attempting the world's longest triathlon and the world's longest contiguous event, both recognized by Guinness, starting on May 1st. So swimming quite a bit, somewhere in the vicinity of about 60 plus miles, cycling about 3,000 miles, and then running about 600 miles, excuse me. So Justin, welcome to Fireside Chats at Run Try Bike.
Thanks for having me, man. I just left London, and I was so stoked when Ohm told me about this because I had a projector, and I was going to put a little fireside, a little crackling thing you do for Christmas, make it all romantic. But, yeah, but I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
My studio includes a Blue 70 wetsuit and a state of Arizona and my bike saddle. So
that's what it's about right there.
So I gave the audience a little bit of an introduction of who you are. You will be starting on May 1st in the Florida Keys area?
Yeah, precisely Key Largo. The initial plan was always to go across the Gulf from the Bahamas to Miami, but just with COVID and the protocols going on, it just wasn't going to be doable with the testing that we'd have to do leaving the States, leaving Bahamas to come back. We just wouldn't be able to make it back in time before the test expired to get back into the States, and we'd be in that weird international waters, or just really like this is the perfect Bermuda Triangle getting lost situation. Like, where are we? Where do we go? Do we go back to the Bahamas, or are we allowed back in the States? Like, that's probably what's happened since the beginning of time. So now we've moved it, and honestly, I couldn't get a captain to say, yeah, I'm going to let somebody swim across this body of water. It was impossible to find somebody. I tried so hard for months and months and months. Couldn't get one person to do it. So we moved it from Key Largo to Key Biscayne, which will be roughly 50 to 60 miles, just depending on where the current throws me around to.
Okay. And where are you going to pull up on shore in Florida then on the mainland?
It's called Crandon Park Marina.
Okay.
Is where I'm going to kind of swim up into that marina. I was kind of hoping like Muscle Beach, just so I could try to like flex on everybody, but but yeah.
So 50 miles, and I read on your website that you'll be facing fears during the swim. So tell me more about that. As the swim, for most beginner triathletes and even veterans like myself, the swim is, it creates the most anxiety amongst athletes. So talk to us about your fear with swimming and how you're going to overcome that for 60 miles.
Yeah, I always thought I could swim. Initially when I started this, I was like, yeah, I can swim. Like, I've always swum. I've always been in lakes, and come to find out, after actually getting into the pool, trying to do continuous laps, I felt like my heart was going to explode out of my chest after a mile. And that mile still took me about 50 minutes. And wow, that was drastically wrong. And I'm like, well, 60 miles is still, or actually it was still 100 at that time because it was the Bahamas plan. And I'm like, well, this is just going to take longer than planned. It didn't deter me. It was still like, I'm still going to do this. It's just going to take me longer than planned. And so I got hooked up with a coach out in the UK when I was out there. And she is literally just took my swimming from like absolute nothing to, I just got done swimming 2 miles in an hour. And so go from swimming 1 mile in 50 minutes to 2 in an hour in the matter of 7 months. And we've only done 2-3 sessions with each other. And just her, I think a big thing for people, anybody watching with coaches and whatnot, is putting faith in them. And honestly, having a coach that puts faith in you. Don't go off accolades, go off just if they're just on the same wavelength as you. When I first spoke to my coach, I didn't need to hear any accolades about her. It was more so she was just as crazy as I was, and she was never going to back down. She never saw how I swam or anything. But we sat down at coffee, and she goes, all right, well, you know, what are you doing this? What's this? And I was like, she's like, all right, well, enough talking, then let's go to the pool immediately. And then we hopped in it. Then she saw my swimming, and she had already bought in. She's like, yeah, I'm all in. And in my head, I'm like, man, she doesn't know what she's in for. I'm a rock. I sink. And she never batted an eye, never once told me I couldn't do it. Was always pushing me and always motivating me. She is extremely brutally honest. So if she didn't think I wasn't gonna be able to do it, she would tell me. But I think it's a big thing with coaches. If anybody's looking for a coach, get one that tells them the truth no matter what. It is going to keep you the safest as possible. And when you know they'll tell you the truth, when they do tell you you're safe, it gives you that confidence in the water. I had a friend ask me the other day if I feel comfortable just swimming out into the ocean any given day. Do I feel like I'm ever going to like get taken out? I said, no, I know I have the tools to survive because that's been instilled in me. And it's all based, you know, it's all because of her. So I think picking a coach and finding that peace in the water, and they have techniques to kind of ease your mind, cool your heart rate down before you actually start taking off, and things to get you at peace in the water and realize that like it's really hard to sink. So just stay calm.
Was there anything that worked for you in particular as far as techniques?
Before starting out, they were called like sink downs, and basically you just literally sink. It sounds so simple. You just sink to the bottom of the pool and just slowly breathe out with your nose. And then you do that like slowly and steadily until you reach the bottom, and then you just come back up, take a little sip of air, and then just go. And like literally that changed my breathing technique to realize how to breathe out slow and smooth, and taking that quick sip of air and then back down. And that was probably the biggest thing for me. I used to be a person where I was like the front of like an old pirate ship, you know, that old like ornament where like they're just always up. That was like me swimming. I just like dragged.
Oh man.
So it has been night and day difference. And I think just the breathing is key. I think, you know, like as you know yourself, breathing is, if you don't have breathing down, you're in trouble.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Jason Bahamundi. I'm the owner of Run Try Bike. We're joined by who is our moderator for questions that you guys can type in. There's a question mark on the bottom of the screen. Just ask your questions, and will moderate them and get them asked of Justin True, who is our guest today. Justin is attempting the world's longest triathlon and the world's longest contiguous event, starting on May 1st. Right now, we're talking about swimming and how Justin is overcoming his fears of swimming. As most of you triathletes know, the swimming is going to be one of the most anxiety-producing elements of a triathlon. So 60 miles going to take you, based on swimming 2 miles in an hour. If you did it straight through, it'd be 30 hours. But how are you going to break that up?
We're going to break it up into just being realistic. I would have liked doing 8 hours and 8 and 8, but due to maritime law, so I hear from the charter company, is I can't swim at night. So we're going to split it up into doing pretty much 5 and 5. So swim 5 in the morning, right when sun comes up, when I can hop in, and then take a break in the afternoon, maybe an hour or so, get some food in me. And then I'm going to jump back in and do another 5 hours. And hopefully that's 10 hours right there. And any other change I can get, who knows? It's nice that this is in May. There's been, obviously, from the beginning, there's been different times this was going to be, and it got pushed back over and over. It was going to be in November at one point, and that made me really nervous because you don't have a lot of daylight. Now I have the most daylight possible to really get in as many miles as possible, but ideally 10, and just averaging about 2 miles an hour would be nice, and that'd get it done in 3 days. It'd give me a day out there quicker.
Awesome.
You mentioned something about getting food in you, and Jason and I were also really curious about what your nutrition strategy would look like. Me especially, because I'm not a swimmer, and I'm curious as to what your nutrition strategy would look like during the swim.
So basically, what I'm going to try to do is, it depends a lot on temperature, right? So the water out there is 80-ish degrees. So it's really, really warm. It's like mild bathtub, which is odd because if you think about it, our bodies run at high 90s, right? And you're in that body of water for 80 degrees. Eventually, if you're in there for so long, I won't become that point where in 5 hours my body temperatures are going to start dropping a lot. But that's what a lot of people have to kind of worry about, is that shock or hypothermia, slow onsetting. Of course, things are just going to start kind of fail because your body's going to start dropping. And so what I'm going to do, because it will be hot and I will be sweating, I've dabbled a bit with swimming with a wetsuit in 80-degree pools like I did out in San Diego. And the big thing was, like, the pool, I swam in a wetsuit. I love this part of it. I swam in a wetsuit when the heater wasn't on, and I could hydrate every hour, and I was fine. The next day, they turn on the heater, and the pool's 82 degrees. And I feel after the first hour, I take a sip, and now I'm still kind of fine. The dehydration hasn't set in yet. I don't even notice it because I'm in the pool. And at hour 2, I feel like my head is being slammed against a brick wall because I didn't adjust for the temperature increase. The pool goes from being 60 degrees to 82, and now I'm sweating like crazy, and you can't tell in the water. So if for anybody out there who's swimming in hot water, or warmer water, that you need to realize that, like, you're going to have to hydrate sooner. So I go from swimming in like mild temperature water to hydrating like in 45 minutes to an hour, depending how long I'm going to be going, to hydrating every probably 20 to 30 minutes in 80-degree water. And that's been a big thing, is remembering that hydration, filling up that bottle with any sort of, my primary source is Tailwind, that I'm just going to stock that up with, and as many calories as I can in that little drink to keep me going for that 5 hours. And I'm pretty accustomed to that, where I can stay happy and I won't get too hungry. Then the second I get out of the water, we're just going to have it's going to be this drink throughout the whole thing that I've made that is about 3,000 calories per smoothie. And it's just going to have olive oil, coconut oil, peanut butter, anything I can stuff in it to try to get those calories down. It's been extremely hard for me to eat like this all year. So it's going to be even harder during the event. And I'm just going to have to try to make everything as dense as possible calorically. And so that's going to be kind of my go-to. A lot of fruits. That's the easiest things to kind of get down, as you know, Ohm. Jason, I don't know how your nutrition is during the runs. I know Ohm is vegan and he's all plant-based, and that is super quick absorbing things, but that's kind of what I'm going with that. And then maybe some junk food while I'm overnight, because can't get rid of that. Maybe some pancakes too. So
You still need those carbohydrates, so enjoy them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that right there is, it's fuel. Whether you're doing ultra or whether you're training on the daily, carbs are fuel. And I love the science of having a dual fuel approach, where having your petrol and your diesel coming into the same tank, where that fat is going to be that large storage, and your carbs, your glycogen storages can only hold so much, but your fat storages are going to be last you for ages. So have that dual fuel, where I have that coconut oil and that peanut butter and olive oil sitting there in my reserves, to when those carbs run out from that banana and those strawberries and all that, I have that backup tank to kick in and keep me going until I can get the next piece of fruit.
Absolutely. And I'm a vegan, so I understand it.
There you go. Yeah.
We could spend all day talking about the swim. You're going to be spending a lot of days on the bike. So help me understand and help our audience understand. 1, how did you plot out the course? 2, what are you looking at in terms of support? Are you going to have a car driving with you? Give us the background of the bike segment now, because you're going to go about 1,000 miles cross country.
Yeah, so I just dialed it in yesterday or the other day, and it comes out to be 3,338 miles with about just over 50,000 feet of elevation. I'm going to be following it's scary to think, though, when you think of the Triple Crown runners and they're doing nearly 40,000 over 200 miles. I'm like, I can't complain, man.
Jason with his Cocodona.
Yeah, so they're doing what I'm doing, in a couple days. But basically, what I'm going to try to aim for is, I want to aim for a 200-mile average. I'm going to start out relatively slow, because the body adapts. You go out the gate hot, and you're never going to be able to recover those, those sores, those aches, those pains, and getting your body to adapt to burning that kind of now fuel in that sense, especially when I haven't been on my feet for 3 to 4 days. I probably haven't taken more than 20 steps a day at that point, so it's going to be really weird getting back on land. It's not that long, but I mean, I don't think any of us have ever really been off our feet for 4 days straight, but yet been extremely active using other parts of your body. You almost get sea legs at that point. So That'll be an interesting twist. It'll be nice to kind of pick up slow going through Florida. And I had to create my own course going from Miami all the way up to about Tallahassee is where I'll butt into what is known as the Southern Tier route, which is like this famous cycling route that people like travel bike through with their saddlebags and everything. And
Right.
I could have cut off about 500 miles with this by just using Strava. But when you use Google will put you on the legal roads. It doesn't say what you can or can't ride. It just says, hey, this is possible. And then Strava will give you mostly paved, but then it will say like unknown and dirt. And the unknown, even if the unknown is 5%, that 5% ends up could be 70, 90 miles.
Right.
So I'm like, man, that's a big risk to take, especially with what bike I have. And any road bike that you're going to have is going to be, on dirt is going to be terrible. So I'm going for, even though this is going to be an extra 500 miles, it's going to be safer for one. That's going to be the big point. Our buddy Hector Rodriguez, he's going to be coming out in New Orleans on what I hope to be. I get there on the 9th. He'll get there about 1 a.m. on the 10th. Like, that guy's ridiculous. But like right after Cocodona, showing up at 1 a.m. to New Orleans to cycle with me. So props to him, man. I couldn't do it without him. So I really want to make sure him and I are safe. There's a lot of people behind us. There's a lot that's gone into this. Last thing we need is being, just irresponsible with this and want to take best care. So if it's an extra 500 miles, it's extra 500 miles. Also, I'll cycle up out of Miami until Austin. It's pretty much flat, which is really nice. Because like we said, you're starting to build up those miles over the time. I'll start out sub 200, and then I'll start picking it up and picking up 220, 230 to kind of make up that pace to average 200 by the end of it. And it'll be nice because you start thinking of the adaptation of miles, now the adaptation of endurance and the physical stressors. And when I get to Austin, which is almost like a halfway point, is you hit hill country coming out of Austin.
Yep.
And so when you start coming out of that, the washer's noisy. So when you start coming, it's a full song. So when you come out of Austin, you get hill country, and from there the game really changes. There's a lot of plain stretches of absolutely nothing, and then New Mexico. I don't know about anybody else. I thought New Mexico is like Wyoming, where it's just flat. It's extremely hilly. It gets up to 8,000 feet of elevation.
Yep.
And pretty much just going to be riding up and down that till I hit San Diego. And if San Diego's here, about 70 miles inland from San Diego is where it starts climbing. So that means coming into it, about the last 70 miles, I'll be able to just bomb downhill and be able to really kind of take some pressure off my legs after doing that. And, that ends up being the bike is 3,338 miles.
It's amazing. So for all of you who are just joining us, my name is Jason Bahamundi. I'm the owner of Run Try Bike. We have who is our social media manager and is moderating the questions that you can ask of Justin True. There's a little question mark on the bottom of the screen. Type your questions in, comments. We'll be happy to have Justin answer them. We're chatting with Justin True, who is going to be attempting the world's longest triathlon and the world's longest contiguous event starting May 1st. You can go to truetriathlon.org after our fireside chat is done, not right now. Stay with us and check out his information. You can get a map of where Justin is going to be swimming, cycling, and running. So we've covered the swim part. It's going to be swimming about 50 to 60 miles, hopefully 10 hours a day based on sunlight, then covering approximately 200 miles a day on the bike, essentially from Miami to San Diego. And now we're on to the run where we're going to be running, or you're going to be running, we'll be following. You're 600 miles along the California coastline. Tell us about that. How did this route come about?
Yeah.
Looking forward to the most when you're out there?
Oh man, seeing people. On the boat, we have a great team. And most of that team is going to stick with me throughout the whole ordeal. We're going to have our videographer out there, Elle. We're going to have my swim coach, Laura, which Laura's going to she's going to hop out in New Orleans. She just has family obligations she has to go to. So understand. So she's going to hop out, just coincidence. She's leaving as Hector's coming in. So we'll be able to switch out crew chiefs. I was really excited to have them both because they are both people that incredibly respect. And I know I will listen to Hector. Obviously, he's got the experience under his belt. He's got the resume. Like, why not listen to him with whatever he's got to say? And then we have our buddy Brandon Stutzman, who's going to be the other videographer. He's going to cover the whole entire bike by himself and just crush the filming on that. So we're going to have some incredible stuff. And then when we get out to the run, so basically on that part, it's going to be from New Orleans. It's going to be myself, Brandon, Hector, and Ray, who just joined the chat. What's up, Ray? And he is just like, I don't even know how to explain Ray, because he is a massage therapist by trade, but he is honestly the best person possible. Like, I'm so excited for everybody to meet him. And my favorite part about all this is crafting a group that everybody's on the same mission. Everybody has just this energy about them, this positivity, this love. And like, I'm just jacked for that, man. I'm jacked for them to all get to meet each other. And I just know it's going to be a good time. It's going to be positive. Even if I'm out there suffering on the bike or the swim, I don't know if other athletes get this. Myself, I don't need to be yelled at and go, let's go. Trust me, I know I need to go. I know. Show me compassion. And this is a team that knows me. They feel for me. They're going to be there and loving and endearing, but also there to be like, hey man, you have a goal. Let's, like, remember that. Keep going and keep pushing me, but in a comforting, in a loving way. Not yelling in your face. So while I do have that team of us four, it's going to be really nice getting out to San Diego and just seeing the whole family out there, the whole Wolfpack family, everybody who we've met over this last incredible year of, myself getting into ultras, where I met Ohm for the first time. It's going to be like our anniversary. And so it's going to, it's just going to be a good time of meeting everybody. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And then secondly, probably getting off the bike. My butt's probably going to hurt. And I guess if anybody's wondering about saddle sores, I have to say I spoke to Mark Beaumont, who he cycled around the world, and I asked him how he dealt with it. He's like, if that's the thing that takes you out, you were never meant to do it in the first place. Know why you're doing it and stick to it. The physical part is going to be the part that you need to overcome. Those little like niggles and aches is like, you knew they were going to come. Why are you surprised? That's going to be the thing that takes you out. You weren't meant to do it. So let's go. And so that'd probably be what I'm excited about, getting off the bike and getting to the run, seeing people, being on my home coast, the breeze, the sun. We're going to be trying to run up the Highway 1. Obviously, if you've been up Highway 1, it is kind of treacherous at times. There's a lot of blind corners. There's a lot of no shoulders. There's been a lot of a big hurdle with trying to get through Camp Pendleton, which I'm honored to say I'm going to be the first person ever to run through Camp Pendleton. They only allow like 300-ish bikers a year to cycle through there on permits. And we have literally had to claw tooth and nail, and through social media, through two incredible people on here, Milena and Derek Jenkins, like, they have both been incredibly awesome in getting me to literally the highest person on Camp Pendleton base to make this happen. And I'm going to be honored enough I'm still just baffled that I get to sit down with the Wounded Warriors. That's our goal. Is they're like, hey, you can do this, but we want you to sit down with the Wounded Warriors and give a talk. And I'm like, I don't know what I can do to give back to you guys, but if I can say, if anything inspirational, I'm taken back by that. So that'll be a really special moment to be able to do that with them, and to continue running with them through the base. The base is about 22 miles long, and it's just going to be a really incredible time, and something that I still can't wrap my head around, that anybody would want to listen to me ramble. So it's just going to be a weird time.
What is the goal in terms of mileage for each day to cover the 600 miles on the run?
Back when I was young, dumb, and stupid, about 12 months ago, I thought 100 miles a day. and then I ran 100 miles and was like, whoa, we got to dial this back. I like aiming high. I always told people I knew I probably wasn't going to get it, but I want to aim high. Speaking back to Mark Beaumont about biking, he aimed for 76 days around the world with a goal of 80. But he's scheduled for 76, knowing there's going to be error. So I was like, I'm going to do the same. And he hit at 79. If he planned for 80, he was going to get more than that. So I was aiming at 100, and realistic goal is probably going to be anywhere from 60 to 70. I would like to get this in single digits and finish it within the month, because if you look at the bike or the swim, if I get 3 days, which who knows, on the swim, I'm probably going to get seasick. I'm probably going to throw up. Every ocean swimmers who have swum their whole life get seasick.
Right.
I'm going to get seasick. I'm going to have aches. I'm going to have pains. I'll swim through those, but it's going to be really hard to catch up that dehydration from being sick. Obviously, there's going to be trying to dodge the Portuguese man of war out there, which are extremely, extremely deadly. Sharks probably are not my worry at this point. The Portuguese man of war are. So they're related to the blue box jellyfish, which is like the dangerous in the world. So that's with the swim, 3 to 4 days. The bike is about average of 200 miles, and that comes out to, I think, 17 days, if I'm correct, with 3,300-ish miles. That leaves me at, 21 days with 10 days left to finish that. So if I can get it in 9 days, I'd be extremely, extremely happy. So I'm hoping for 70 miles a day, ideally. And crossing the Golden Gate Bridge is my finish line. Done.
So we have a couple of questions from the folks who joined us. The first one from the Crazy Scotsman: who's actually keeping track of your progress? I mean, it would be easy to catch a lift for a few miles. LOL.
Who's keeping track of my progress? As in, we're gonna have. I don't know if this answers it. We're gonna have a GPS tracker on the website where people can sign on at any moment onto the website, truetriathlon.org, and pinpoint where exactly we are. Being on the Southern Tier route is pretty nice because people can download that map and literally cycle with us if they're anywhere along the southern states. They can move down to the corner we're going to be on at a Waffle House. So, it's going to be pretty easy to find us as far as that goes. With the run, since I map my own run on Strava, it's going to be open to the public, so you can find my run on Strava and either join in with me or replicate it at another day. So if you're 600 miles.
And we got another question here from Catalina. Hey, Catalina. What does your self-talk sound like when you get to the hardest part of these insane challenges?
Kind
of a loaded question, huh?
Is it day or night? Because if it's night, I'm singing. For some reason, when it gets to like 2 or 3 in the morning and nobody's really out there, I think it's just me and like the earth and like just the universe, I start singing. Like, I thought Brandon would have heard me. I'm pretty sure I thought Ohm would have heard me at Valley of Fire, man. I was singing everything from Neil Diamond to like the Dropkick Murphys. But to be real, when it gets dark, I think I kind of go silent in my head for the most part. I really just try to zone in on something, and there's a lot of tough times in my past, and depending on if there's a song playing or not, I get to the point where I get so emotionally charged that I like clench my fist, and it happens while I'm training. I literally clench my fist and I bite down, and it's like back when I used to fight, and I'm fighting back tears because I'm so emotional about stuff that happened in my past. And I know that the happiness that I guess I'm going to bring my family, my mom primarily, because that was where a lot of like dark times happened. I think about my mom. I think how she's the toughest person I know. And, while I'm doing this for mental health, I'm doing this, like, I guess for her in a sense, to, feel proud. She always felt like she was letting us down growing up, that she wasn't good enough as a mom. She went through a lot of stuff that I just want to make her feel proud that, like she raised a good kid doing that he's out there doing something really, really good for other people. So maybe that's, self fulfilling in my end, and maybe a little bit narcissistic to think that that's something, but I don't know. It just keeps me going.
So Om and I were talking as we were planning this out to be able to chat with you, and he mentioned something to me that you once told him that if he attempts to connect with one person he admires on a daily basis, he'd have a strong network. So tell us a bit about how you're networking with potential sponsors.
Oh man, networking with them was, my blueprint has been, I would go onto Netflix and I would find other crazy endurance documentaries at the time, and I would go through their credits. And I would see their credits and find every single name on there, and then I'd go through that, and I'd plug it into IMDb, and I'd find not really the producers or the head people, because they have too many followers on Instagram, on social media. They're never going to respond to you. So for anybody listening that's trying to get something and try to get networking out there, people who are, you know, connected to other people. I would go down that list to the third or fourth assistant that are only going to have probably 5,000 followers. They're going to answer me, and they know somebody. So if I harass them, they can block me all they want, but I'm going to get my message out there because I think it matters. I think it's important, and so I'm going to message all these people to the point I'm blocked every day, not by these people, but by Instagram. Instagram is officially like, you sent too many messages today. Then I go to LinkedIn and I do the same thing, and I, you know, get LinkedIn Premium so I can send even more messages to people before LinkedIn blocks me for sending messages. Go to Facebook, do the same exact thing, to the point where they think I'm spamming, because I'm not. I'm literally typing these custom. Or organically. I'm not copy and pasting anything. I want to make these real because it is real. I'm not here to spam anybody and copy and paste. I'm being as authentic as possible with this individual. And that's been kind of my networking to find, let's say, QIR. That's the route I took. Find who I can get a hold of there and dig till I can get to the top. And by doing that, I've been able to get some incredible sponsors on here, being just in the best way possible, harassing everybody just consistently. The persistent effort of just repeated. We try to do these one-hit wonders and send one email and we get denied. Life's not like that. Like, nothing you do, you turn in one test in 4th grade and you get a college degree. No, it's the persistent effort that's going to get you there. And so that's what's been able to contact me with some incredible individuals and some incredible companies that are, you know, making this possible.
So this event is going to take place starting on May 1st with the goal of finishing on May 31st. So that's 1 month. But how many months prior to that was this networking and training and plotting and preparing?
I'd say January is about when it started of last year. Maybe around the fall of the year before that, of 2020. That's kind of when like the spark hit, that I sent the first message of like, hey, this would be fun to like bike across the US. And then I let it sit for about October 2020 till January 2021 is finally where I was like, I messaged my same buddy again. I'm at his place right now, and was like, hey man, what if I did this? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that's the response I wanted. The first one wasn't crazy enough. This one was like, dude, yes, do it. So since January, I've been plugging away, just constantly every day since January.
So for those of you who are joining us and you're just getting started in endurance sports, if you listen to what Justin just said, it took him 20 months basically to go from idea to execution. And that's something you need to take into account as well, right? It's going to be the small steps on a daily basis that lead to success. And I can't emphasize that enough. Justin's example of taking a test in 4th grade and getting a college diploma doesn't work. Same as buying a bike and becoming a triathlete doesn't work. It's everyday persistence, consistency, and putting in that effort. And then one day you wake up and you say, I think I can do this, and you go for it the way Justin is going to be going for it. And that means we all have to make sacrifice during that process. So what kind of sacrifices come with a race like this?
Everything, man. Financially speaking, I didn't quit my job until I didn't quit it. I put it on hold this spring. I was able to just grind and work. Almost had a heart attack in the fall. I was waking up with a heart rate of about 120. My resting heart rate is like, it's really cool. I like to brag about it. Is like, it was lower than Lance Armstrong's was my resting heart rate. That was just like my scale right there. So being over 120 was like freaking me out. I was burning the candle at both ends, every end possible from the sides of the candle. And basically I was working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, to save money up for this, because I haven't come from like lavish livings before. So I'm okay with like kind of roughing it. I had a rental car from my company, and they pay for the rental car, but they give us per diem to go live like during the outage and pay for food and all that. You're right. So I'm like, well, you're paying for the car. Like, I can live in a car. So I'm 6'4", like 220 pounds at that time, 230 now. And I'm living in a 2-door car, trying to just imagine trying to stretch out in that. Like the nights of sleep aren't consistent. I'm working 12 hours, 7 days a week. My trunk is a mixture of a closet, drying out a wetsuit, and a fridge with oats and chocolate milk. And I'm parking in the Walmart parking lot. I'm peeing in bottles. And I did that for a month, and I was saving every single penny I possibly could because it mattered. A lot of us think that, oh, it doesn't matter. No, like you said, those little consistent things add up. Maybe I took it to an extreme, but this triathlon is kind of extreme, so I think it warranted it. And I was, like I said, 12 hours a day working. I was going straight from there. It was the fall, so I didn't have a lot of sun. So I'd go straight to the ocean in Connecticut, and I'd start swimming. And I'd swim for about 2 hours at sunset till the jellyfish came out. Literally was swimming through schools of jellyfish some nights. And then once it was too dark, I'd go to the gym out there in Connecticut. And it was this little, brother-owned gym. And they eventually just was like, hey, just lock up whenever you want to leave. Like, they shut at 8, and they're like, you literally never get off the rower, just lock up. I'd be on the rower I'd go work 12 hours, go swim for 2 or 3, and then go to the gym and get in another 4-hour row. And by the time I actually did laundry or ran into Walmart and got my dinner, I had maybe 3 hours before work. And you're not cooling down by then. I did that for a month. And there's the stress of not just that stuff, but trying to create the project, trying to create the documentary and delegate tasks and pick up funding for this and message all those sponsors. While I'm at work, I'm messaging, and I'm doing that stuff where I'm getting blocked by all these platforms because I'm spamming. And eventually I went to the hospital, and I had a hypertension, like level 2, like the top end of it. Like my heart was going to explode. And I had chest pain all day, every day. And at night I would wake up in the middle of the night with chest pain, and it just wasn't good. That was the extent I went for this for a period of time. And that's just that. My health, I sacrificed my relationships, having to spend months away from the people I love. And, it's hard. It's damaging for them. It's hard for them to try to deal with me in this mindset. I have this mindset when I'm getting into a fight mode, I shut everything off. I don't connect with the world. I'm ready and I'm focused on the task at hand. So relationships, family, just everything. It's literally been probably the most toughest year on me for that. I didn't see that coming at all. That was definitely blindsided me, was how much it would take me away from everything I loved.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's a hell of a thing to train for an Ironman and 100-mile race, to put in those hours to do something that's going to take you, give or take, 31 days. It's a lot of sacrifice. For those of you who have just joined us, I just saw a handful of people join us. My name is Jason Bahamundi. I'm one of the owners of Run, Try, Bike. We have Om, who is our social media manager and moderator, checking questions. Feel free to add questions into the bottom right there. We're going to jump into a really fast Q&A with Justin, who is our guest today, Justin True, who is going to be attempting the world's longest triathlon, as well as the world's longest contiguous event, starting May 1st in the Florida Keys and ending in Northern California. He'll be swimming.
We don't have a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
He'll be swimming 60 miles. He'll be riding his bike 3,300 plus miles, and then running about 600 miles. So go to truetriathlon.org, because he's not doing this just for fun. He's doing it to help awareness for mental health, and you can donate there and help him support those who support those with mental health issues. So we're coming up on our time here, Justin, so I want to just fire quick questions at you. For those of you who might have questions, throw them in there now. What part of the country are you looking forward to the most when you're on your bike?
On the bike? Oh,
yeah.
Man. I'm going to say Arizona, probably. I'm going to say Arizona. Yeah.
There.
I'm coming for you.
Very cool. And why? Why Arizona? I mean, I know why, but.
I've heard incredible things about it. I've seen a lot of beautiful pictures. I know that there's a ton of running races out there for good reason. Just the landscape is incredible. I don't know what state is called God's country. Maybe that's Utah. But just the massive expansiveness of it, and the elevation, seeing the massive hills and
Yep.
all that and the canyons is going to be something special to just feel like just a speck in the middle of it all.
Awesome. What are you going to be telling your pacers to be prepared for during your run up the California coastline?
My pacers?
Yep.
I'm sorry I did this to you. Whatever I said when I was hungry and tired, I didn't mean it.
What is the finish line going to look like for you?
Man, a lot of tears. It's a very special meaning for me to get to that other side. I think it's, in a sense, I'm already kind of tearing up now. It's, in a sense, it's shedding a lot of darkness that happened in my life. That's where it all started and kind of came on from, was down in the Bay Area. So being able to almost shed that light, I think I've come to terms with all of it. It's just that I think this is me being really like, I'm really wanting to just punch that old life in the face and take it back and like put my foot down. And now when I go down to the Bay Area, I'm gonna have good memories. Like there's a lot of sad times when I go down there in my head. Like I'm gonna have nothing but like, I did something incredible here.
What's the one snack you got to make sure your crew has for you throughout this entire endeavor?
I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, pancakes.
Yeah, buddy.
And we actually have a question on that in the chat from Mr. 2911, Jeremy. What's your favorite pancake topping?
Nothing. I make pancakes so good. No, that's not. I really don't top them with anything. But I'll probably chug a lot of maple syrup during this.
And then we have one from Russ01. It's not a question, but he says, "Hey, brother, proud of you and what you are doing. No question, just proud to call you friend."
That's awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you, Russ.
Here from Mr. Gordo time, it says, "Are you scared of not finishing?"
The thought crossed my mind a lot. Back when I used to fight, I went to bed every single night before every single fight thinking, what's the worst possible position I could be in, from someone seconds away from breaking my arm, which someone did break my arm in a fight, and I'd already done it in my head. I'd already had my arm broken in my head. So when it happened, I didn't budge. I still kept fighting. And you put yourself in those bad situations. You think about them all, but before you go to bed every night, when you're laying in there in bed and you're thinking about this can go wrong, this can go wrong, whether you're in the cage or whether you're in your event, you think about it. You be realistic. You think about, as an engineer, you reverse engineer all these. You think about what can go wrong in a project and you reverse it. And you think, all right, here's everything.
Yeah.
Solve it. And before I finally clock out for the night, I have won. In every single one of those 1,000 scenarios where this went wrong, this spoke, one spoke broke, two spokes, three spokes, four spokes, a chain, a derailleur, anything, a pop tire, an armadillo across the road. I think about it all. And I've overcome every single one of them every single night before I go to bed. So I think about not finishing, but to me, it's not a possibility unless something drastically takes me out of it. And if so, then I'm not really scared. I'm just worried what my mom will think, because she's going to feel probably terrible, because it's probably going to be something that killed me.
Before we call it a day on this conversation, sponsors, give them the shout outs. They're the ones supporting you in this endeavor.
Right. So we have how much weight have you gained for this event? Sorry, I'll answer that one real quick for Ray. I have gained about 30 pounds right now, and I'm planning on losing probably 40 during it. So anyways, we're doing a miles challenge right now, Wolfpack Miles Challenge. That if you go to my page right now, I threw it up. ERS Events is putting it on, and all of our sponsors combined have come together to make this possible. And not just with a triathlon helping me and throwing stuff in to make this possible and helping me out and giving me the best gear possible. They're throwing gear at this event to just give away and to give back to the community, what this is all about. From TYR, which does incredible wetsuits. I find absolutely nothing wrong. I swim hours on end, 6 hours on end, no chafe. Love them. And just the company is great to me. Like, I love them. I love the conversations we have. Very personable people. That's number one to me. Pit Viper. They're very, very goofy and quirky people, but know how to get after it. And that's what I like to consider myself as. You have Cask Helmets, who they're donating some glasses, some hoodies. Pit Viper's donating a ton of glasses, over 30 glasses for this. That is going to go to every single prize package. TYR is throwing packages in there for us. You have Cloak and Pedal down in San Diego that is throwing in gift cards. That's run by Caesar down there, and that guy is obviously a legend. I love that dude to death. These are all people. Squirrel Nut Butter, Tailwind is loading me up. And I think that's going to be paramount for my success right there, is that nutrition and keeping all those micronutrients, phytonutrients just in my bloodstream going. Trying to rack my brain for all these. Sagebrush Cycles out in Bend, Oregon, that is, they took the biggest step of all. But the second they saw this on the news and people got word of it, they donated a bike that is basically the Tesla of bicycles. And it was all based off faith. There was none of this hype around it or anything. They just said, we like your mission. We like your story. We want to help you. What can we do to help? And now Sagebrush Cycles in Bend, Oregon really just baffled me that somebody could believe in me that much when I haven't been believed in my life. A lot of people have turned it down. So I think that happens to a lot of us. So those primarily are my sponsors right there. And just stoked to be with them.
That's awesome. And don't want to keep you too much longer. You need to get some rest. I know you swam a lot today and then ran. Well, it looks like we may have another question here real quick.
Oh.
Justin, you are about to change the world's perception of what's possible. You got this. Thank you, R. Rulik 93, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's true.
Thank
Justin, thank you very much for being on with us. We look forward to you start on May 1st out in Key Biscayne, Florida, and finishing up in the Bay Area by the end of May, and setting 2 Guinness Book of World Records for the longest triathlon as well as the longest contiguous event. Thank you for joining us and moderating the questions today. Really appreciate you joining us. For those of you who have joined us, thank you very much. We will be back here in 2 weeks on May 26th with Hector and Callie, who will be racing Cocodona 250 in May here in Arizona as well. And so we'll have a fireside chat with them. Keep checking our page. We keep adding more fireside chats as we go along. And if you've got somebody you think we need to talk to, then let us know, and we'll get in touch with them and bring that to the table. So thank you all for joining us. Justin, thank you very much. We'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Ramble. See you guys.